Alright everyone, welcome back to Cody's Lab. So today I've decided that I'm going to show you guys my radioactive materials collection. Now before we get started, I have read the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission guide on radioactive materials. I've only brought this inside the house to film it because the lighting in here is much better than it was out in the garage. Now the first thing you'll notice is that I'm surrounding the radioactive materials with copious amounts of lead. So you got these lead bricks here, and inside you can see there's actually a second box in here which is surrounded by more lead bricks, and off to the sides here some lead shot which have settled when I moved it, but I'll remedy that problem later. In fact, at some point I'm going to build a lead pig to put this stuff in, a lead container that I can transport it around in. But I've got my Geiger counter on right now. Let's put this on here without actually removing these lead blocks and watch what happens. See, it's actually picking up the radiation through, almost an inch of lead. And from previous tests, this will get well over 1,000 counts per minute out here. Now, the radiation in here is not, crazy high. I can handle it for short amounts of time without fear, but I certainly wouldn't want to sleep with this thing. Alright, so the first thing we notice is some silk lantern mantles, which are thoriated. When you burn these, it turns into thorium oxide, which has a very high melting point and produces a very white light. They actually work very good for lantern mantles, but they've stopped using them because they're, radioactive. But of course, when I put the Geiger counter next to them, it detects the radiation quite well. Yeah, I got a bottle which actually has some thorium oxide. This came from my element collection. This was also another sample from my element collection, which was, I was using it for radon, but it's just some uranium ore pieces. Now we're getting into the good stuff. First one right here. This is a piece of uranium ore. I'm not actually sure where it came from because this was actually my grandpa's collection, and he's been dead for quite a while now, and I never got a chance to ask him where he got it. And from previous tests, I found that this little rock gives me nearly 16,000 counts per minute with this particular Geiger counter. Let's set this aside. These are actually some samples that I was buying on eBay for their uranium content because they're high-grade uranium ore. My plan with these was to actually extract their uranium and radium from them, which will be coming up in a future video. Look at that. In fact, with this Geiger counter, this particular sample that I'm holding it next to right here gets well above 30 up into 40,000 counts per minute. In fact, I've got a quick little video of me taking an X-ray of a fork using some silver chloride and the radiation from this particular sample here. I guess I'll go ahead and put that clip in now. Now I just dissolved that silver bead that came from the jewelry that I rendered down. So I'm going to use this to see if I can detect radiation. I've gotten rid of all that black stuff. I also added a little bit of water to dilute it down, which made it easier to clean. Now I got my silver nitrate solution. I have a piece of uranium ore here, and I'm going to put this on top of here. I'm going to add in a little bit of hydrochloric acid to make silver chloride, give it a stir, and then I'm going to shut the light off and close the door and make this completely dark for the next week or so. I think, you know what, I'm actually going to stick this fork underneath of there. That way I see if we can get like an X-ray image of the fork on the silver. Make the silver chloride. Here we go. Give it a quick stir. Let's leave. This will settle out into a thin layer of silver chloride, and possibly the radiation will actually darken it where it actually is able to get to it. Close the door. Okay, so here's the silver chloride that was sitting on top of the radioactive materials for a week, and here's some photographic developer. Should darken wherever the silver has been exposed to light. I'll let this work for some time. Okay, here it is after a couple of hours with the developer. Let's have a look at the bottom of it and see if we can see any kind of image. I don't know what you can see there. Well, you can totally see it. There's a ghostly image of the fork right there. That is awesome. It actually worked. Pretty neat, huh? Something I've always wanted to try to do. I'm not exactly sure if the the shadowy figure on the beaker was actually due to the radiation, because maybe the door got opened and I didn't know about it and got some light in there and the light got up underneath of it. But I'm pretty confident it was actually radiation that caused it, which is a pretty cool little experiment, I think. Well, I was buying these on eBay. The guy I was buying them from, who lives in Colorado, actually found out who I was and decided to offer me his best sample. And so, let's get that out now. Here it is. Look at this. Big old chunk of uranium ore here. Isn't that lovely? I'm trying not to take things out of the bag because I want to minimize the cleaning I'm going to have to do after this. But look at this. I figured that this rock right here is right around 50% uranium by weight, which is just crazy. And the radiation it puts out is even crazier. Watch this Geiger counter just keep going up and up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that actually went back around. My battery's low on my Geiger counter. Sucks. But, yeah, it just started over there. It's crazy. I think it started over twice now. That's an immense amount of radiation coming out of that. And this Geiger counter really can't handle it. The battery's low. Maybe I should turn it off. Anyway, here's the information card that he sent with it. And see that's the mine and where it's from and some other stuff. This is actually safe from me processing it down because it's just such an awesome sample. I don't want to destroy it. In fact, when I'm done playing with it, I'll probably end up donating it to a museum at some point. I don't actually have my uranium metal in here, but I do have some uranium oxide. Also got some uranium marbles. And right here, if you'd believe it, is actually the most radioactive thing I've got. Even more so radioactive than that rock, although probably not by much. Open this up, and there it is. See these? They're tubes, little glass tubes full of tritium. In fact, I probably shouldn't drop them. Energy being produced by this is very large. In fact, if I go turn the lights off, you can actually see the glow because the beta particles are emitting light when they hit the sides of the tube. See that? You can actually see the glow that they produce. It's actually pretty awesome. Now, I've brought these over away from the other sources, and I'm going to turn this Geiger counter on. I want to show you guys something. Despite the fact that there's actually more disintegrations per second than all of those other sources over there combined, in fact there's several Curies worth of radiation here, I could set this here and it would detect very little radiation. In fact, that's not much more than background levels right there. The only radiation that this is actually detecting is a small amount of X-rays that are caused by the electrons hitting the side of the tube. These will likely be used in my fusion reactor that I'll eventually build. Now the last thing I'm going to show you guys is that you can actually pick up radiation on your cell phone, or particularly the camera. When the radiation strikes the photodetector in this, it produces a very bright flash that washes out an entire pixel. And if I put this up next to this and wait a little while, you should actually be able to see little flashes of light from the radiation. Anyway, I'm going to clean this all up now. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.